Hi, I'm Patty.
I'm Kim Michelle.
And I'm Jill. Welcome to our podcast. It's a great day to talk.
Because honestly, what day isn't a great day to talk?
So join us in our conversation.
A Great Day to Talk is brought to you by St. George Design, offering complete website design, social media management, search engine optimization, Google and Facebook ad management, and many other digital and print marketing services. stgeorgedesign.com. And by Richardson Brothers Custom Homes, third-generation builders who have been building custom homes in southern Utah for over 25 years. They will take your dream home from concept to completion. Contact richardsonbrothers.com.
Hi, I'm Patty, and welcome to A Great Day to Talk. I'm here with my good friend, Miss Kim Michelle Pullen, and of course, you see three heads behind me, but we are missing our friend Jill tonight, as it is the fall break here in southern Utah, and getting prepared for her travels to New York tomorrow.
Yes.
So we're excited for her. We miss her, but we are happy that she gets to go on this trip for fall break. So
Yeah.
how are you doing today, Kim Michelle?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Fall break starts today, like you mentioned. And so our kids are off to great adventures. And they kept asking me, "What, Mrs. Pullen, what are you going to be doing for fall break?" And I was like, "Oh, correcting essays."
Yeah.
That's what I will be doing all of fall break. Yeah.
Well, and who wouldn't want to do that, honestly?
Oh,
Right.
come on. Yeah, bring it.
Yeah.
I hope I can do that long into even next week.
Yeah, I think that'd be nice.
Yeah.
I will also be grading some essays tonight, and I'm sure tomorrow, hopefully I can be done with them tomorrow. But I only teach 2 language arts classes, so I have...
So I have 8.
Yeah, so 8 times 30-something
Yeah,
is
I have 240 essays.
240
to go.
essays to grade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
it's insane. I don't even know how that is. That isn't even healthy.
exactly.
Because I'll start reading and I'll do several, in one sitting, like several, and then I recognize that am I reading, and I have to go back and reread and make sure I graded it similarly.
Well, I'm not going to say whose paper this was on, but I did see my notes on one of them the next day, and I did look at my notes, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm glad that I'm doing the notes on a separate scoring sheet, because I looked at them and I was like, I don't even know what I was trying to say there. So I had to take that off and just put a new scoring sheet on there.
Right.
Because obviously the words were not coming to me at that, I think it was 2 in the morning or something. And they weren't coming to me very well. Which is probably the time the student wrote the paper. So we were probably, in about the same boat. Yeah.
Sure. I think this coming quarter, I'm going to start with the paper and end with the novel. And not leave it to the last right before Christmas trying to grade. But could you split your classes up and do paper first part and the other class book? And
yes, that would be the really smart thing to do. I think, and I'm just back in the classroom after a while of not being in the classroom. So there's a lot that I'm learning in the process again as well. And
you've never had to teach 8 classes.
Yeah.
That's because the school you're at is on a 5-day block.
Right.
And my school's on a 4-day block.
Right.
And so I have 7 classes. Have 6 normally, but this year I have 7, and you have 8. That's too many.
Yeah, and we will be going into literature next. What I'm really clear on is that I don't want to put them into a next essay until we've had a chance to do some very guided, specific instruction about specific parts of the essay, so that everyone wins more.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna. I think for me, the kids write like they text a lot. So names aren't capitalized, and for sophomores, I shouldn't have to say capitalize all names and titles of books. And
Did you know that U is more than just a letter?
yes, it's spelled Y-O-U.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I got a lot. I got a lot of that in all the pre-writing we've done this year.
Yeah.
I have not seen that yet. Well, they aren't supposed to even use the first person in the
Exactly.
essay. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, overall, they did a really good job around that. I think it's more, the thesis statement. And
Yeah.
So we're going to do very guided instruction. I'm sure this is very helpful to everybody out there.
Yeah, no, I know. We could talk all day long about this, but today
English teachers, we can all do a call together.
Right. We wanted to talk today about, Kim Michelle called it Lessons from the Abyss.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And what we were thinking about with this topic is just things that, lessons we've learned, lessons we maybe wish we would have taught our kids sooner.
Yeah.
And lessons that we can see from our current students that maybe need to be taught. So some of those things that are hard for kids today, some of those things that we could have helped our own kids navigate better. And then I'm wondering sometimes why I have to keep learning the same lessons over and over.
From the adult space,
Yeah,
right? Looking in. And the goal is that we can share those with you so that you don't have to join the abyss.
Yeah. Just learn from this podcast today. And then you're like, oh, okay, I won't do that.
Yeah.
Note to self.
Although it's a party in here with us and you're welcome to join us.
Yeah.
You can just stay on the looking over in and say,
it
looks good down there. Have fun, ladies. Yes. And then just stay
in your safe, stay in your safe place. I was rushing around today, all day. Today is a day where I teach 4 classes, so I don't have a prep, and needed to be at the bank and to the mechanic and then to another appointment and then to here. And of course, it's senior game, so there's a ton of traffic and just navigating the traffic is stressful and feeling I had overscheduled myself for sure. And I'm thinking, why do I continue to overschedule myself? And what lesson can I learn from creating a boundary around my schedule for me, like making it so that I say no to myself?
Yeah.
Because I'm the one making the appointments, and I always cut it thin. This will take me 15 minutes to get there, so I will only schedule till this, so then I have 15 minutes to the next thing and the next thing. And I just today was thinking I need to learn a lesson here, looking at my calendar, maybe reschedule a few things so that I can be less booked every day.
Yeah. So why do you think that is? Why do you think it is that specifically around that, right? That
why is that my behavior?
Schedule to schedule, appointment to appointment to appointment to appointment, or
well, today was special because I own a van rental company with my husband, and he's been out of town since Thursday. And one of the vans was returned Monday night and was to be cleaned Tuesday and go out today. And I got an email on Tuesday afternoon that said, hey, just wanted to let you know, we hit a big rock and broke the power steering and some plastic underneath the van. So you're going to need to get that fixed before it goes back out. And this is yesterday at around 1:30.
Oh.
And it still had to, I hadn't driven it. It just been parked. And so I didn't know that until the next day. So I ran home and drove it to a mechanic that was willing to help me. He found a part today. I called the lady that had scheduled it today, and I said, look, this happened. And she's like, that's fine. We'll just take 2 cars. It was just in case it'd be fun. And we were back and forth between those conversations yesterday and then back and forth today as well. And when I told her, look, the part is fixed. There's power steering works, but the van hasn't been cleaned. So I wouldn't ever let it go out unclean, but I am teaching and can't go clean it.
Yeah.
And she goes, I'll pick it up. I'll clean it. We just want to have it. And I was like, okay. So,
well, first, Patty, just let me say good on you, because that is a huge shift for you, because there would have been a time in your life that you're like, oh no, there's no way I'd ever let that, never, ever let that go out without it
being spotless. Yeah. And
yeah.
I usually clean the vans or double check when they've been, when I've taken them someplace to be cleaned. But anyway, so the mechanic wants cash. He trusts that I'll bring it to him after the van is picked up by this gal. I Venmo her money to go get it cleaned, and it was all fine. But I had to leave the school, get cash, go up to industrial, pay him, go back down to my other appointment, get back up here. And so normally I wouldn't have had the van scenario. So I wouldn't have felt overscheduled.
Yeah.
But today I was. And now so I've got to learn a lesson in that. I've got to figure out how to look at my appointments and which ones do I need, and get rid of a couple things, because I am not getting to the gym like I want because of the appointments that I have made for myself.
Yeah. And I think anyone out there, it's not the same scenario, but I think most people out there have a similar kind of situation that can put you into the abyss, right?
Yeah.
It can just totally, I have everything kind of laid out what this is potentially going to look like. And then something changes, and all of a sudden now I'm going to probably figure it out and make it work. But energetically, I'm in a totally different space now.
Right, than I would have been. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's true too, because the energy around all of that was stressful, and I'm already have a lot of energy around getting my grades done and getting every paper in. Did this kid get in, and how do I email that parent, and all that energy around that. And so I don't want to have that. So I got to brush it off.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happens to me in the mornings.
Oh,
I know I need to leave by a certain time in the morning, and it doesn't seem to matter. Like if I get up really early, and Scott will tease me about this all the time, but in a very loving way, because if he teases me too much or in not a loving way, then he is in the abyss before I even get there.
Yes, that is true. Yep.
But, it doesn't seem to matter how early I get up. When it's comes to about 5 minutes before I'm supposed to be leaving, all of a sudden I'm in this, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late.
Yes.
And then the last 5 minutes is just like chaos there.
Right.
I'm running around. Where's this? Where's that? Where's this? Right. In that last 5 minutes. No matter what time I get up.
You have a pretty good drive.
I have a good little drive. St. George isn't a huge community.
And you get that,
for
you can
here,
hit that freeway, right? And then go down, but you're still probably 20-something minutes.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there must be a part of me
that thrives on.
There must be. It doesn't make any sense. That's why your rational mind can't figure it out, because rationally it makes no sense whatsoever that you are getting some kind of a payoff by being in that frantic space that last 5 minutes. But you must be getting something from it, or I wouldn't continue to do it every morning.
What do you think the payoff is?
I don't know, honestly.
Is it the rush of having to hurry and you get a little adrenaline and it gives you some energy?
I don't think it is that.
Yeah. Or a sense of importance that you've got to hurry and get. And I don't know.
I don't know if it's like,
because
now I've got the whole world on my shoulders. I've got my big bag that I can hardly lift out, and on my way to the car, but I do know that I get to either, there's one school of thought that says you have to figure it all out and get to the root of why that is, or you'll never be able to resolve it in a long-term kind of way. There's another school of thought that just says, okay, that might take you a year to figure it out, so just stop the behavior. Just stop it.
Stop it. Stop it.
Stop it. I love that Bob Newhart.
My gosh,
this
my
is
favorite.
the best thing we could leave you with if you've never seen this. This may be the whole reason you are on today's podcast. And this may be the whole reason we're doing it. Because we even had a conversation, we're in fall break. Maybe we don't do the podcast today. We just wish everyone, happy wherever you are. We're off. So we'll see you next week. And we're like, no, let's do it.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the whole reason we're doing it. So if you have not seen the Bob Newhart clip.
Right, where he is the therapist and he charges $5 cash.
Yeah. If you haven't, it's called Stop It.
Uh-huh.
If you haven't seen it, just watch it.
Watch it.
Just
and
watch it.
It's 100%. Yeah. And my husband and I will tease about it. Like, well, just stop it. Stop doing that.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And honestly, there's some wisdom in that.
There's.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's worth every cent of $5. It's probably.
The gal comes to him and gives her, this is my behavior. And he goes, well, just stop doing that. Stop doing it.
Yeah,
stop it. Well, I think it's because of don't bring your mom into this.
No.
Just stop the behavior.
Just stop it.
It's
classic.
Great.
It's totally delightful. So
right. That almost like a kind of a behaviorist point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, it's delightful, and if you do it with somebody that you love and care about, then it can become a running kind of between the two of you, which is a nice little thing too. So that is kind of the place that I'm in. I don't know that I have to figure it all out. Right. I just know that it doesn't serve me.
To race around.
Yeah, because I'm having a wonderful, I think what happens is in those times when I do get up extra early, I'm like, oh, I'm up really early. So now I just want to take my time, and I do. And then I don't realize how much time I've taken until I look at the clock. And then I'm like, holy moly, I got to go.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard. I think I would have a hard time if I had a relaxing morning where I was up early and was able to watch the news and sit on the couch and ready to go. I would have a harder time getting up and leaving.
Yeah.
So it's good that I only give myself the right amount of time to get up, get ready, get out the door.
And I used to always watch the news in the morning, and have done that almost always.
Yeah,
because I used to coach this speech and debate program, and so that even when I was teaching before, I maybe had a couple of English classes, but I never had a schedule like I have now.
No.
Because I always had speech and debate. So, and even when I left, I only taught speech and debate. And so I always watched the news at the beginning. This year, I was watching at the beginning of the school year, but then I didn't really feel like it was a healthy place for me.
Right.
So now I watch like Jimmy Fallon from the night before in the morning.
Right.
Which I'm just loving. It's just a wonderful way for me to start.
Even if you just watch his monologue.
Yeah, I'm always giggling in the morning, right? So that's such a better place for me to be as I'm getting ready. And usually I can gauge it, like how I need to be out the door by the time that we've watched that. Right. Because we're fast forwarding through the commercials, whatever.
Sure.
So,
yeah. Well, lesson learned.
I know.
You're going to stop it and figure out how to get out the door.
Or at least I'm going to stop saying, oh, I've got to get out of here.
Right.
Because that doesn't help me.
No. Yeah. Right. I was thinking too about a lesson learned is to advocate for yourself.
Yes.
And that's not only a lesson that I think younger kids need to learn. Little kids need to
all the way up.
Yeah, all the way. My 6-year-old grandson, he needs to advocate for himself too. I mean, and I think he does a great job of some of that anyway. But we have students that have their parents email instead of them come talk to us, and I would much rather. I don't mind the parent emails because that gives me a reminder to check in on their student. Yep. But I would rather that student email me or come in and say, hey, can I just go over something with you? And I do have a lot of that too, but we definitely have some that are more shy. But also as we age ourselves, like at my age, in what ways do I need to advocate for myself? Maybe it's with work. Maybe I need to, let my principal know that this isn't working. I have too many students, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or if I'm at the doctor, advocate for myself and say, hey, I don't want to take medication. What's an alternative? Or I want to get
I
a
do
second,
want medication.
or I need to double my dose, and advocate for myself that way. Yes. And I need something stronger. So what are your thoughts on as we age, how are we not advocating for ourselves as we get older, and maybe why aren't we?
Yeah, I think that in even in today's culture, I think sometimes there's a feeling like I don't want to speak up about anything. Because I just don't know how it's going to be received on the other end.
Right.
But at the same time, but in those situations, then we're just giving all of our personal power away to a circumstance or something outside of us. So, really, we all know we get to put our big girl panties on or whatever. If you're a gentleman, maybe you don't want to put your big girl panties on, or maybe you do.
Right.
I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with
That's
any,
exactly
just
right.
as long as you have some panties on. or not, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
And I think that it is important. I think sometimes we don't, because we're not exactly sure that we want to take and own responsibility for what the answer might be.
And we don't want to come across often as argumentative if advocating for yourself is, for example, I needed to tell someone yesterday that I didn't want to pay for their service because it wasn't done. It was awful and it wasn't done. And it's someone that has worked for a lot of years. And I just didn't, I was like, I didn't advocate for myself. I didn't stick up for myself and say, this was an awful job and I'm not paying for it.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is that we do step into those uncomfortable conversations, and we are willing to have them, and we just have them with grace and compassion, right? For the other person. I appreciate what you tried to do here. It isn't satisfactory to me. And so you can redo it, or, how can we resolve this so that it is satisfactory for both of us? And if we can't resolve that, then unfortunately, we can't continue this relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
And I won't. And I didn't resolve it, and I didn't give the person a chance to resolve it. And I also won't have that person work for me again.
Yeah. Well,
so I didn't do it with grace and compassion. I just let it go, which is pretty passive aggressive of me to be like, it's fine. And on the side,
I'll never see you again.
You will never work for me again. Yeah.
But it's not too late for you to go back and say, you're not going to work for me again. And here, let me tell you why.
Yeah. Yep. And I could, and if it comes up, I'll let them know that at that time. Or let Riley do it.
Yeah, you can do that too. Because that's why we have a spouse.
Right. He can say it. I don't want to be that person sometimes. And I think that's another reason we don't advocate, is questioning. And there's a lot of people in our lives that we were really told not to question growing up, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's baloney. I think we should question everything.
There's an inquisitive mind is a great mind. A curious mind is a great mind.
Yes.
And those are really great values. To be inquisitive, to be curious. There's nothing, how many times, I don't know how many times I was told I asked too many questions. And we probably all said it to one of our children.
Right.
Not all of them, because some of our children probably never asked a question, but we probably all have one child that asked a lot of questions. And somewhere along the line, we probably said something about that. That's the collective we. That means me. I probably said that along the way. But that's a great quality for someone to have, that to be inquisitive and to ask questions, not questions that are challenging someone, but that just questions that because they're curious.
Right.
And I think when you ask questions that are curious and you respond to those questions just because they are curious, I think that's always empowering for all parties involved.
Absolutely. And I'm lucky because I teach psychology.
Yeah.
And it's one, the topic is great, and the kids usually can relate to a lot of it, and a lot of great questions come out of it. So I have a bucket called the light bulb. It's a light bulb question. And if they ask a inquisitive question that is like what we're talking about, and they connected it to something else, like it's beyond what our conversation is. It sparked a question for them. Then somebody will, hey, that was a light bulb question. And I'm like, you're right. And they put their name in the bucket. And then every week I pull a name out and they get 5 extra credit points for a light bulb question. And so then it's nice because the kids will advocate for each other. Hey, that's a light bulb question.
I love that.
Yeah. And oftentimes their light bulb questions stump me. You know, well, you know what? That is a great question. I don't know the answer to it. Who wants to look it up? See if we can find it. And it, or you know, sometimes maybe I make something up and they believe it. That happens too.
Good on you.
Yeah, but not always. No, it's nice, I think, to not feel bad about not knowing everything.
No, I think it's important for them to understand and appreciate that everyone is just human, right? And I think it's really empowering. I think there was a time when teachers especially felt like it wasn't okay to acknowledge that you didn't know.
Right, you had to know everything.
But I think we're way past that time. I hope we are.
I hope so too. And I mean, at least just even as human beings, you know, I don't know that question. That's awesome. Let's figure it out.
Yeah. Because it models that for them too, that they don't have to, for them to be valued in the classroom, they don't have to know everything. Right. And they're not their grade. They're not what they just got on that test. They're not, they're so much more than that. And
of course.
And we are too as educators, right? So,
well, and I love if I go to a store and I ask somebody, hey, I've got a question about this product. You know what? I don't know. Let's find someone who does.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to it as we're as adults talking to adults.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree for sure. And I think we do. I think with our young kids, I think we do a good job of teaching them to ask and to advocate even a little bit for themselves. I think it is that high school age that they're now, for whatever reason, maybe feeling a little less comfortable with themselves. They're now dealing with a clear authority type figures all around them. Parents now, teachers, they're looking at what's happening next for them in their life as far as college or what's going to happen after high school. And they've got a lot of fingers in the pot there for them. And I think for some of them, they're more trepidatious than they were before. They're more hesitant. And I think you maybe have some more parents that are concerned now because you've got big life decisions going on now. If it's a big deal for somebody's future, what happens for them this first couple of years out of high school. And it can make a big difference.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, you know, when I got my grades at the end of the quarter, it was well after the quarter, and it was printed on a piece of paper.
Right.
And when I got my grades, I was also surprised at what my grades were. Yeah. We didn't have any information, really.
It's just so tracked in life. Yeah. Real time now.
It's so real time that it's I mean, if our grades aren't updated immediately, we're in
I marked somebody absent today by mistake.
Yes.
They were tardy, and I meant to mark them tardy, and I marked them absent.
Yeah.
And I had it like a minute later. The person came up and said, I think you marked me absent. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I meant to mark you tardy. And I would have found it and
Figured
corrected.
Sure.
And then my question was, well, how did you know that? Because you're not supposed to have your phone.
Yeah.
But my first
Right.
question was, wow.
Yeah. I've had kids do that to me.
That's
Hey,
so
you marked me
fast.
absent. I'm sitting right here.
Right there.
Because they'll get the notification, which is great because they get notifications for that. And I'm sure they could get the notifications on their phone or on their watch too if they didn't have their phone with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is tricky. I remember being the kind of a helicopter mom with Bailey when she was in 9th grade, maybe 8th grade. Maybe 7th. It might have been the whole time. But I could check her grades and I would just refresh to see if anything had changed.
Oh, Mom.
Yeah. And I finally remember going, what am I doing? This is obsessive. And I said, okay, Bae, you're on your own. Good luck with your grades. And I would text her, why do you have a 0 on this? And she's in school and I'm texting her. And like I was my worst. You know,
no, you're my worst.
I'm your worst nightmare mom. I was. I didn't do it with Abby. We just kind of at the end, I'm like, how are your grades? What's going on? And would talk about it. But that first time I was able to see Power School, when she was old enough to have access to her grades, I do remember it was an obsession for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally understand a parent's concern and desire to want to know and a desire to advocate on behalf of their child. And I wouldn't ever tell you not to. I would just encourage you to have your child advocate first because it's an important skill for them to know. And I think most adults will want to see your child be successful and will want to work with them. They just want your child to step into that space and come from a place of responsible about where they're at and why they're there and to acknowledge what's been going on around them, which you may not be aware of, Mom and Dad, but your student is. And that conversation, I think, empowers your child in ways that serves them.
Right.
And so I would just really, my first response would always be, have you spoken to the teacher? And they might say, yes, I have. And they won't do anything. They won't help me. So I get that too. But
well, and I think it's what you just said about coming from a place of responsible, because I think all of us at any age, if we're feeling insecure about something, might go victim and not take responsibility for it. And it's easy. I know my kids would do the same thing. It's not my fault. It's the teacher. And I'm all, you're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah.
And so go figure that out.
Yeah.
Go figure it out with the teacher.
Yeah. And I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page around responsible, because responsible isn't about shame and it isn't about blame.
No.
It just is simply saying, here are the things that I'm responsible for that has led to the place that I'm in right now. Just like I would come from a place of responsible as the teacher about why we're where we're at right now. Was I unclear about the instruction? Was I unclear about when it was going to be due? Because if I am, then I get to come from responsible around that and work to create solution too. Yeah. And so I don't have any problem whatsoever acknowledging about, you know what? Even when I'm grading these essays, when I see something that is coming up over and over and over again, I understand. Listen, there's no more work that gets to be done here. And so when I grade this portion of it, I'm going to understand and appreciate that there's more work that gets to be done here. We're going to do it together. So I'm going to take that in consideration when I grade this portion of the essay.
I do that. It's so nice because I can say, oh, wow, my AP Psych students all missed question 10.
Yeah, exactly.
What didn't I do?
Yeah.
How did I not get that information across?
And that's just coming from responsible. And that's, I think, what we want
everyone,
children as they grow and advance. And I think that's how you want every high school student to be able to show up in the world when they're no longer in your home.
Right.
Is from that place of responsible. How did my actions lead us to where I am right now?
Exactly.
Because then they have, if it's true their actions led them to where they are and they are not where they want to be, that is so awesome. Because then they can change their actions to get themselves someplace else.
Right. As we all can, adults too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When I was younger and I moved to California, I was working for a therapy center. I was about 22. I remember not willing to. I was so nervous about making a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I did not want to let anyone know that I would have made a mistake or wasn't perfect. If you made a mistake, you hit it.
Yeah, you hit it.
You hit it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I learned from this wonderful group of therapists, probably because they were therapists, they were great, is that it's okay to make a mistake, just own it.
Yeah.
Just say, you know what, I dropped the ball on that, or I didn't get that in, or I was gone and forgot to ask, or I forgot to email them back. And it was liberating when I learned that I could own.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean I always do it,
Well,
but yeah,
it's a journey.
it's a journey. But
It's a
it
journey.
was really nice to make a mistake and not be shamed and still be liked,
Yes. Yeah.
because that was a real big thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which is a whole
Whole
other
topic.
conversation
Uh-huh.
about, what somebody else thinks of me is really not any of my business.
I know. I love that too. It's not my
Yeah.
business what other people think, but why do I make it my business then?
Well, because you're human.
Yeah.
So that's part of it, and we'd be crazy if we said it doesn't matter.
Right.
What that comment really means is that I can't let it determine how I'm going to show up in the world.
Right.
Because then I'm only going to be consumed about making sure that I look good to somebody else.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. That's not
Yeah.
what we need to do for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to look over my schedule and see how I can stop overscheduling.
Yep. And I'm going to definitely be looking at what is it that 5 minutes
Is so rushed.
yeah, is so rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so rushed for me. So that because it can be so just peaceful and la la la, and then
Bam.
land. Yep. Oh my gosh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be late, and then it's rush.
Right. Yeah.
And then as soon as you're in that rush, then I can't find my keys, and then I
Oh,
can't
for
find
sure.
this, and yeah,
And you trip and you spill and all
Yeah.
the things.
All the
for
things,
sure. And
yeah.
it's the same with being, overscheduling, and then you start resenting who you've scheduled with, and it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with them.
nothing to do with them
Yeah.
at all.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna make some peace with that tonight.
Oh yeah. So
Well,
next
try.
week on this call, boy, it's just gonna be
We're gonna
kumbaya
be
and-
awesome. Everything's gonna be easy.
Yeah.
Lessons are always. Why do we learn them? Because we have to. But I mean, why do I have to
Well,
learn the
'cause we
same
get
ones?
to.
We get to. It's the only way we grow.
Yeah, it is. And I talked to my kids about that today.
Your
right?
students,
That
yeah.
life's going to come at you, and
Yeah.
that's okay. That's, just stand in your power, know who you are,
Yeah.
own your greatness. You
Oh,
know?
I want to take your class. Thank you for joining us today. We will be here next Wednesday at 6:00.
Yes.
Jill will still be she'll be flying home from New York, I think, next Wednesday night. But we'll have a wonderful discussion ready
Yeah,
for you.
we will.
And can't wait to have you. Thanks
Bye,
for being here.
everyone.
Thanks for listening to It's a Great Day to Talk.
Be sure to follow and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform.
And until next week,
Get out there and talk.
This has been a production from a podcast studio.